broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Something about you makes me feel like you're dangerous.
Oh, I don't think there's anything more fitting than the song.
Yes.
Right?
I feel like they did. I don't remember.
Ariana and Jennifer are feeling dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Stahl's putting her in some bad positions, and we're going to get into that because you are watching the AfterBuzz TV recap show for Shades of Blue. This is episode 11, titled "The Breach," and it was full. This episode. We only have 2 more left in the season. And we're wrapping it up, but there was a lot to get to. So let's dive right in. I'm your host, Brandon Marlo. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at BAMARLO. I'm joined by my beautiful co-host, Samantha Benitz.
Well, thank you. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Samantha_Benitz, BENITZ.
Miara Jennings.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Miara Jennings.
And Erica J. Green.
Hi, I'm Erica J. Green. You can find me on all social media, Erica J.A.Y.E. Green.
Oh, wonderful.
We love that.
Love it.
You know what I would love?
I do it for y'all.
I would love a compliment back because I gave you one.
Oh my gosh, you're so
Thank you so
handsome.
much.
Debonair, stunning,
Looking so
handsome.
good. So dapper every week.
That's
We
what
can't handle
that's what I
it.
call a CC, a common courtesy. So when I expect, like, I paid one out, now I want one back.
We got you. We got you.
Thank you. Okay, so this episode, there was so much happening because they were really trying to get it in before the last episode.
Yeah,
There's only
almost.
2 left, and every character kind of had something going on. But before we get into what happened this episode, let's refresh on last episode.
Yeah, let's refresh because there was a lot last week too. Well, we started out with Waz and Harley running into a Marine veteran who may have committed a murder. He admitted that he's having these violent blackouts, so they start to suspect, to investigate that. Meanwhile, Waz gets a lead on this murder, and it turns out to be a suspect who is the owner of a kinky club nearby. And so Tufo and Loman go to kind of investigate, and they find the owner hanging. He's dead in his office, and they actually see Joaquin walking out. So that's an interesting connection. Keep that in mind for tonight. They also, investigate more. They talk to this homeless man who will only tell what he knows if he gets a burger. So I don't blame him, because I would do the same thing. I want a burger if you want to know what I know. Anyway, so Harley and Waz get to finally meet the HBIC on this big operation, who is this man named Linklater. And we
Good
find
old
out
Linklater.
Linklater. What kind of name is that?
It's a fake one.
The same one like Stahl and Tofu.
Tofu.
Where do you find these names?
Yeah, something like that. Well, we find out that he is actually a DEA agent, and this operation is for him to steal back $12 million that he confiscated from drug bust. So that's a lot of money. And they're supposed to give Waz and his crew $3 million. So that's that deal. After that, Harley meets Stahl and asks for immunity for her whole crew. Something horrible happens, in my opinion, after that. Stahl and Harley kiss.
Beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, God,
I don't want to
awesome.
hear it. So Stahl makes a call to Gail Baker, it looks like, to ask for immunity for the rest of the crew. So we'll leave that at that for now. And last but not least, Miguel is out, and he met up with Christina and opens a whole can of worms between Harley, Christina, and Miguel. So that's where we left off.
Well, I think the Miguel thing was a huge turning point for the episode.
definitely.
But again, something else that people had to acknowledge was that kiss between Stahl and Harley. We were waiting all season for something to happen. Well, someone did. So we're gonna talk about it because there was a YouTube comment left that wanted to address that kiss.
Yes. So we have Sin City 918. She said, I was so waiting for this kiss. I don't know
Me
why.
too.
Because Stahl's like a sexy guy. You know, he's a little crazy, but you still want him. Yeah, we like a little crazy, Actually, Stahl and Miguel are similar in that way. They both have this intense personality. But I do think Stahl was lying about the the immunity, as we saw tonight's episode. But Stahl and Harley are similar in that way, lying to get whatever they want. So you were onto something.
Good point.
You know, they're both a little deceptive, and I think having those two personalities come together when it's one lie after another, eventually it's going to come to a head, and it kind of came to a lip.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was the kiss. It was kind of interesting because you couldn't tell if she was into it or wasn't into it, and
Like a little mix, maybe.
Right, and he was really in control in that moment, which I thought was beautiful. Congratulations, Agent
Finally.
Salt. Finally.
Talking about him the whole time.
I know. I didn't like
changed
me
his
and
ways.
Agent Salt, but we saw that like softer side of him, the softer side of Stahl. And you see this like he might be coming around,
Right.
and then the kiss. I thought this is the moment he's gonna help her get her out of this somehow, and then you find out he's still cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. This episode, he is crazy.
Yes.
So my feelings towards Stahl this episode are a little bit different again, but I agree with Sin City. I think that it was a good moment for the show, and I think that it had to happen. They couldn't keep having this weird sexual tension and nothing ever come to fruition, right?
Every time I
agree.
think about it, I feel sick. Like, right?
I didn't like it either, but I agree that it had to happen eventually. So
I know, and it
I'll
puts
take it.
them, it puts them in the position they're in now, where they both are going to have to come to a head, and either one's going to have to lie to the other in order to have the deal go through that they originally planned for, as far as just getting Harley out. And it seems like she's not going to be okay with that, especially after this episode. I feel like they're going to find a way to either save the entire group or at least save more than just herself. And it's not going to be to Stahl's happiness, but, you know, he gets what's coming to him since he did play the cards against Harley, who's a more experienced player at this time, I think.
Well, as we see, there are a lot of moving pieces. In this episode, we kind of see them all coming together and trying to work towards what we'll call the greater good of like
Right.
just getting the assignment done so everyone can move on. But it doesn't seem like we're gonna get there, and a lot of it's to do with Stahl. So let's get into the episode, because he had a major role for kind of misleading and misusing his relationship with Harley. Don't you think? Was it so much his lying about not getting immunity for the crew, or his weird relationship and obsession? What do you guys think is really more detrimental to their relationship?
that's a huge.
He's obviously. I'm like, do they do background checks on these people? He's like in her home, and she's supposed to put total trust in him, and he's crazy, and I think it's gonna come back to bite him. You saw Zepeda in that scene found the video, and of course he's gonna look at it and see this sick. You know, this guy
He's
is
doing
sick
some
for
role
my
playing over here, yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to turn events. And Brandon, didn't you call it and say that Miguel might actually come to Harley's assistance?
Yeah, so I thought one or two ways. I thought that he'll be so upset finding out, and now he knows that she was in cahoots with Waz to get him put in jail.
Yeah.
But I think seeing her vulnerable in this state, I do think he's going to somehow come into play to help her.
Yeah.
And as we get into the episode, we'll talk about this a little bit more. But we see that things don't go quite as planned for what they're trying to execute with the armored car. And I think it's leaving a lot up in the air for him to come in and help her in some way. So, but back to Stahl, there's a lot going on. So we now see his obsession through Harley's eyes. She finally gets to witness what he's been doing behind her back with a prostitute or a hooker, whatever she is. And it's through the cameras that she had put in his apartment. That's also how she finds out that the immunity was never discussed with Gale. What did you guys think of their interaction when she finally addressed that with Stahl?
Well, first of all, I just have to say I was so relieved that Harley was not the one in that first sex scene.
Oh, boy.
And can I say, when we watched it,
It looks
I was
legit,
watching,
yeah.
I had to ask. I said, "Wait, was that not her?" Because it really did.
Yeah.
But maybe it was her, and that was how he envisioned seeing her while he was having sex.
Through
and his
Waz's
fantasy,
eyes.
I was like, that was J-Lo. I was like, oh,
Right.
my God, that
So
had to be
close.
different.
It looked like
no,
her, but
I'm thinking that they put that in there as
in
like
his
that's how he
mind,
sees
like his
this
fantasy.
woman.
Oh, yeah. He's
Well,
just
yeah.
closing his eyes and imagining in my mind.
No,
Like,
that's
turn that ass
just,
around.
it's like,
Look at you. I was like,
I know. He's like, this is how I always imagine.
I was like, that look ready to use them too. I was
oh
like,
my gosh.
you know I love it.
No, I feel like all he has to. Okay, so in previous episodes, Harley already notified Gale or someone about his. Didn't she, or did I not?
I feel like she told maybe that guy,
Somebody.
the druggie, she's kind of working with now, because he helped her with the wire previously. So I feel like
she talked to Gale. She met up with Gale and she was like, hey,
I think there's an inappropriate sort of
Right,
dynamic
yeah.
in
So that I mean, I feel like if she plays her cards right, she could use that against him and maybe
Definitely.
get free that way.
And with
he's
Molly
clearly
Chen,
obsessed.
too. Yeah.
Yes.
Molly
You
Chen's
know, I'm
it's
passionate about this
sick.
episode when we're all talking over each other, but there was so much
Sorry,
happening.
guys.
No, there really was
Yeah.
that I wanted to see happen in that conversation. I understand you can't show all your cards at once,
Right.
but that was a very heated moment. Like, he's telling her things that she assumed that he was doing for her benefit by the immunity. And I would have come out and been like, I've seen what you're doing behind closed doors.
Exactly.
And I understand we can't quite see that yet, but I really thought or hoped that was going to go a little bit further than what it did. I felt like it ended a little bit like there was no peak in there for me. She just kind of tapered out.
But what could she have said? Like,
She could use it for her benefit.
But I put cameras in your apartment and I've seen what you.
No,
what
don't
you've
tell
been
him that
doing.
part. Just tell him somehow that he's obsessed.
You hired a Harley
in
hooker.
freakish ways. Exactly.
Harley.
Harley look-alike. And she's going to use it. I feel like she should use it eventually.
But you heard what Stahl, he was like, what are you going to do? You put yourself in this position that you have
that's
to
true.
do what I tell you to do. So he she's backed against the wall, really. It's like, okay, yeah, I have a sick, but you're a criminal.
Well, he still doesn't know that she knows.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That was interesting.
he's going to keep on.
Yeah, he's gonna get in deep, and I feel like because everybody is now being aware of the fact that Stahl said, I only want one person saved, and originally his deal was to save all 5. You know, so the interesting thing is now that he's gonna go back on that, I feel like this is totally gonna bite him in the butt in the end, because Molly has seen him, you know, giving her extra favors, grabbing her hand, giving her all this extra attention, and then clearly Harley has all this information on her iPad that she didn't really look at until later, until she started catching up to all of his steps. And the fact that he's even going out of his way to hire an escort that looks like Harley and Waz also saw that as well. I mean, that's something they can all use to fight this case against them as, oh, he has an obsession with Harley and he's making it look to be something it's not. So I don't know. I could see that happen.
I just can't believe this is episode 11 already, and we only have 2 left. I don't
Wow.
know, what else am I going to watch on Thursdays? This is the only thing that's interesting for me.
I know.
Oh my gosh, Brandon, I'm so glad you asked that question. I have
why?
a really good show you need to check out.
What is it?
Well, first of all, let me ask you, have you ever been curious about a celebrity boyfriend's midlife crisis?
Every night, between that and Why Ginger Left the Spice Girls, I don't get any sleep.
But seriously, do you want to hear like the crazy, hilarious backstories, like behind the scenes of what's going on in Hollywood?
Yes.
You know that Kevin Undergaro has like the scoop. They
Who's
hang out with
Kevin Undergaro?
The Kardashians.
Well, Kevin Undergaro, as you guys may or may not know, is the creator of all of this fancy magic here, AfterBuzz TV.
Silly me.
Yes, he is. So he has a new show called The Tomorrow Show, and it's featuring co-host Roxy Stryer and Ashley Daniels, who are also part of the AfterBuzz family. And you can tune in every Monday and Thursday night from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific. I tuned in on Monday, and I loved it. Maria was a guest on the show. It was great.
Oh, cool. So they're not doing it together.
They're not doing it together.
Okay.
She was a guest, so it's his show. It's Kevin's time to shine, his midlife crisis. He wants to
Cool.
spill it all, and it'll be really, really cool. So you can watch live. It's not pre-recorded. Everything is live.
Okay, so I can watch it. Can I download it anywhere?
You can download it on iTunes for free.
Free. In
How much
life,
is it again?
nothing
Free
comes for free.
$99.
Yes.
So when you get it, you take it. I'm going to take that free episode and entertainment.
And enjoy it.
Yes,
Thank
do
you
that.
so much, Kevin Undergaro.
That sounds interesting.
For more
Yeah.
information, just go to thetomorrowshow.com.
No, for real, it does sound interesting, though.
It was good.
We've received a little bit on it. Obviously, this is for you guys at home to tune in, but the more that we're seeing about it, and I checked it out online, really funny. Like,
Yeah.
Kevin is such a good guy and very clever and very captivating on screen. So it's worth watching. I'm going to tune in Mondays and Thursdays.
Mondays
right?
and Thursdays,
sure
7 to
it's
9.
Gotta mark my calendar. Okay, so back into this episode, because we do have 2 Thursdays left before I am just going to be living for that Tomorrow Show. And we see that Stahl isn't the only person giving Harley grief, that now that Miguel is out, he is stirring trouble. We see him out with Christina again. So they are keeping some sort of connection, and he is kind of spinning different stories to her. So now she has both parents lying. He's saying that Harley fell down some stairs, or that she, fell out of bed and knocked her head type situation, when Harley says that she was abused. So now it has not only the viewer, but Christina thinking, okay, who is telling the truth?
I'm confused.
I don't even
too.
know, yeah.
Because Harley lies so much. And Miguel, he just seems like a little sweet, cub stuck in the middle. He's like, with the eyes and stuff. Looking at I'm like, I'm really as confused as Christina because she's called her mom in a lie several times. Harley lying about this, lying about that, and he's been telling the truth so far. We weren't there. We don't know what happened with the whole beat up thing. And if Harley can lie about all this other stuff, who's to say? But I'm not going to say it didn't happen, but who's to say that it did?
Right. They were playing some interesting music though tonight when he was talking to his daughter. I'm thinking, it sounds kind of eerie. Like maybe he's not telling the whole truth. But then again, Harley's been a pathological liar in her daughter's eyes. Yeah. So at that point, when you're repeatedly lied to, it's like you don't take anything for seriousness. It's a grain of salt, you know?
Yeah, I think they were playing that music because he was finally realizing all the lies that Harley was telling, you know? Like, I feel like...
No, Brandon.
Trying to help her.
Got our back. Thank you, Brandon.
Well, they're at the two-shot on you, trying to pull something off of her, okay?
Thank you.
Don't call me out on camera.
I'm like, Erica, eye contact. Right here.
Oh my God, Erica, I can't take you anywhere.
It's Erica J.
J-A-Y-E.
On all social media. Anyway. I don't even know.
But that's why the music may have been played.
I think
so that's a good point.
Because, we find out, so Miguel finally finds out, Harley told me, Waz is just some crazy guy that she works with, but now Christina's calling him Uncle Waz.
And they've been working together for 10 years.
So now his brain's kind of turned and he's figuring out, I was obviously framed. Who was in on this? And obviously he's suspecting Harley now.
You know what? I do think that he was lying in that instance. I think that there is some truth to kind of him being reformed and making an effort to change his life. And I think that under different circumstances, he wouldn't have had this issue with Harley. But now that he knows that she's been lying so frequently, I think that's when he lies to defend himself of, no, I never hit your mom, or he never really addresses it, says that it could have been another incident that she had, why she saw those bruised photos. But I think we'll see a little bit more in these coming episodes. It's just a really interesting dynamic that these two people who you're supposed to have faith in and trust are both lying to her.
But does anyone think that Miguel might try to go behind Harley's back and get custody of Christina? Maybe sometimes help this whole plan get sabotaged so Harley goes down too, then pay for, locking him up.
Right.
And then he can have his daughter too.
That would be
because she's trying to get rid of him, and he was old. He, as hard as he was working to be with Christina, he was so like, for the money. And to me, I wasn't convinced that he would just leave that easily, even for just the money. So I don't know. I think I'm watching. I'm interested to see what's going to come in these next 2 episodes.
Heading his own little investigation.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Well, we see that he is doing that a little bit. He's being diligent and kind of searching out his own answers, which I think for someone who's in the system and has been played by the police, the only thing you can really do at that point is do your own research. Now, I think this is when it can start getting a little murky in the next couple of episodes, but the relationship between Harley and Stahl and Miguel, that's getting even a little bit more tense because now Miguel has kind of seen those images and what could possibly be going on between them, and then we see Waz, who... It seems like from what he was saying, he might have some sort of intuition that Harley is working with Stahl. He had that one line where he goes, "I saw you," and they never really address it when he's talking to Harley.
Well, I don't know if he would have brought it up and told her about the situation if he still had an inkling that she was.
I don't think he
in
does.
cahoots. Yeah,
But you know what? He's been fishing all season, and so getting these little comments in about her and what her involvement might be. It's very strange to me that he keeps saying these things, but he keeps talking himself out of her being the rat. So I'm interested to see if we see more of that, or these next couple episodes, what her involvement shows to be.
I totally agree. I mean, that's a good point, especially when she gets out of the car and he sees that she's a lookalike. That would be such a red flag, especially to somebody who's already suspicious, to see what an FBI agent is thinking about one of his cops in his precinct. Like, that would already be strange to me. And then why would you think he wouldn't go after the real thing? Like he said, this is an imitation, so you can only take the imitation for so long until you're going to want a little bit more.
So, okay, that gives us that relationship. There's so much that we could talk about with that,
Right.
but we need to get into kind of the other part of the episode where then they find the man who was kidnapped and placed on Waz's boat at the marina. They find him with his throat slashed. Now, we don't really find out who did it, but we see Molly Chen there doing a little bit of her own investigation while Stahl is kind of on call for the bust that they're going to try and do at this point.
Right.
And we see that things are falling apart at the seams because Tess's truck breaks down or the bus, and so some
He
people
didn't break down. Harley messed the
Some
truck.
people- right,
Harley's
but-
so smart like
Yeah.
that. Like she was trying, and I'll give it to her this week. I think
Yeah,
we've been
okay.
saying, you know, she doesn't care about her crew and she's only looking out for herself, but she did that so that they
She
had
tried.
a chance to go home and get out of it. But you
well,
know,
she says
didn't
multiple
work out.
times, leave,
Yeah.
don't go,
Yeah.
and she's trying to do that, yes, to save her friends and her crew, and I think that that's a nice thing because she knows she's putting them in a bad position. They show up anyway. So when they show up, that's when they realize that Joaquin is part of the armored car system who possibly killed the kinky club owner previously in the previous episode. So then there's a little bit of a standoff between Waz, Harley, the crew,
And
and
Loman.
Joaquin now. Well, Loman lives, but he ain't there yet. So the confrontation starts between Tufo and Joaquin because he realizes he saw him there. Now he knows what his involvement was, and that is when Loman turns a corner, letting everybody know that he called it in.
Gotta roll my eyes on that one.
Oh my
It is.
god!
Okay, there's just one thing that I didn't get with that whole situation. So when Loman initially went to Tess and Espada, I think it was, or Tess and Tufo, telling them, you know, I have this lead, it's Joaquin, blah, blah, blah. They told him to go trail him by himself. But I thought they knew that he was the
I don't
driver.
think Tess knew.
They
Tess
just-
and
Okay, so
Espada
the
was
other
in on
ones
it.
knew.
Yeah, the other
Okay,
ones
that's what
knew.
okay, thank you for clearing that up. So I was like, you guys know he's in on your operation.
Yeah, no, I think,
Okay,
yeah.
that makes sense. Never mind.
Well, they're trying to keep Loman away, but Loman is a little bit
stand
more
Loman.
intelligent than
Loman.
he lets on.
He's a go-getter.
He's a good cop. That's
He is,
the
he's
thing.
trying. His
Yeah.
moral compass is pointing him in the right direction, and that's what we see in this scene. That throughout the entire thing, there have been gray areas, which we talk about. We all have that, where we know what's right, but possibly this could be a better
option.
right option. And it's maybe not what society tells us to do, but for this instance, it's what you choose to do. So we see the standoff, and then we see Tess get shot. There are shots fired between Joaquin and his friend with the armored car, and then Tess. Joaquin and his friend seem to get their bits blown to pieces.
Right.
Yeah.
Tess looks like she's gonna live, as we see for the promo of the next episode. But that's when Loman stands his ground and he says, "No,
What's going
What?
on
Just
here?
follow me.
yes, Miss Erica J.
Just-
Green
okay.
on all social media."
What did Loman think he was gonna do? You're one
Save the
person.
day.
But Loman, take 2 seats. No, take 3. Like you come up in there blazing guns and stuff. Like you're really about to do something. You're trying to go at your crew. You're trying to go at these other guys. And it's like, Loman, you're one person.
But
Why
I-
didn't you wait for backup? That is the
Yeah,
proper
that is-
protocol.
that's
is to
true.
wait for
Because I
backup.
think he saw once you
Sit down.
reach that point, now shots are fired. Now it's, if you're going to do something, and that's what he's trained to do. You step in.
Loman,
And I
has
do
he not
agree
learned
with
his
you.
lesson? He's shot fired already.
no, he
Shots
hasn't.
have been fired.
He's
already.
trying to
Sit down.
be good. I don't
Right.
blame
You
him.
always-
I have to. Because I'm like, okay, if I saw okay,
Girl, you gotta show that love. That's okay.
She's like, oh, yeah, I'm loving it. Yeah.
no, that's not why. That is not why. I'm trying to play a little devil's advocate here. And
Okay.
also, I mean, I think if I saw you guys about to rob an armored truck and I'm like, these are my friends, like, what are you guys doing? Guys, I think I would question you too. I don't know if I would want to wait for
Put your gun
other.
in my face.
Well,
Bobby.
I'm sorry. I would want to know why you guys are bad people.
I'm gonna side with Miara on this one only because the shots were just fired. The person's gonna come with his gun out.
Right.
Sun's out, guns out.
What was he gonna do though by himself?
I don't know,
You hear
girl.
shots fired. Logan, take your happy behind, go the other way, and wait for backup.
I don't know
He
what
was trying to do the right thing.
Protocol.
It had to happen. It really did because
Yeah.
we've seen him. We've seen him.
What are y'all doing?
Well, we understand that, but we see him really like conflicted the entire season, and now we see that he's on the right side of the law. That he thinks this is no longer protecting people or giving some sort of vigilante justice that he thinks is deserved. Now you're just stealing money.
Exactly.
This is not necessarily a victimless crime. Because now people are involved, people have been shot. It's not just we're stealing this money and it's going to X, Y, and Z charity. Like
Yeah.
they're knocking over an armored car with federal money in it, and that's when he has to say no, we can't do this anymore because now it's no longer for the greater good.
Yeah.
This is you guys just being stingy.
Yeah.
So I do think there was just so much in this episode, but as we see the promo for the next episode, it looks like things are not going well for Stahl because he is just hot-tempered.
Yeah,
Things
so
are
it's
just
very
falling
stressed.
apart. I think we'll get into a little predictions here in a minute, but I think from what we see this episode, she looks like she's getting off the hook. I think,
Harley's definitely getting off the hook. It's the others I'm worried about. I think Waz is the one I'm most worried about.
There's just so much back and forth in this show, and that reminds me of something else, that there's a lot of back and forth that seems like we're going to get, and that's on Thursday night. You need to mark your calendars, because March 24th is the ABC series premiere of TGIT's new show, The Catch.
From the executive producers of Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, and How to Get Away with Murder comes the story of a private investigator and a con man who were never supposed to fall in love.
But they did, much like Harley and Agent Stahl. The Catch stars The Killings' Miara Jennings and Parenthood's Peter Krause.
Enos plays LA's top PI, one woman you don't want to mess with. So when her fiance, played by Krause, takes her for millions and disappears, she will stop at nothing to get her man. Game on.
Oh my gosh. Well, as her hunt begins, it quickly turns into an intoxicating game of cat and mouse. Think of it as like a Romeo and Juliet style love set in the sexy, suspenseful world of James Bond.
You'll want to grab some red wine, get your Twitter fingers ready, that's right, people, and settle in for TGIT's seductive new series, The Catch, premiering Thursday, March 24th at 10/9 Central, only on ABC.
I do like a drama, so I'm gonna do the Tomorrow Show to get some laughs, and then I'm gonna do The Catch just to tune to have something else on Thursday nights. And I know I have a DVR already, so I have this. And if it's coming from the executive producers of Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder, and
it's gonna be
juicy. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys do How to Get Away with Murder, but
Viola Davis.
Tonight. I gotta go watch when I get home.
Like that.
But that's good. So it'll be something nice to take place of that when that ends. I think I've seen bulletins all over Hollywood for The Catch. They're putting a lot of money behind it, so I think it'll be. Peter Krause is a phenomenal actor, I'm excited for that. But I'm also excited for these next couple episodes. So let's get into predictions.
Ooh. All right.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, let's start with Miss Erica J. Green. She's got her lips pursed.
Well, I was just thinking that Christina's probably going to be used as some type of leverage. That's pretty much what she's been the whole entire season, but I don't know. I think she's going to get really serious with her. Her life might be put in danger, so I think it's going to be really hot next episode.
Can I come back to
We'll
me?
circle back to you. Okay,
Circle
so
back, please.
Miss Samantha Benitz, do you have anything?
Ooh, I was guessing that the person that Harley was trusting in today, that druggie, might turn on her. I'm having an iffy feeling on him, just because he's been there and she did have to agree to have him pick up the van for her and stuff like that. So putting such a big responsibility on a man that she's trusted so far and he's turned out for her. So I don't know if I should be having cynical thoughts on him yet, but I kind of do, just since he mentioned you're going to trust me. And secondly, I do think Miguel's going to come into play. And I think he might want to save the day just because he doesn't want to see Christina without parents. He's already knows that his daughter has lost a father figure. And then if she loses a mother, then what is that going to do to her? How's that going to affect his daughter? So I feel like he's also going to be getting involved. And Waz has a few things up his sleeves as well, in my opinion, since he's already been aware of what Stahl has been going, and doing in his private time as far as this Harley escort. And he's also just kind of checking his bases and staying on top of the whole case. And anytime Donnie gets involved, he takes a few steps back if Donnie's telling him some weird misinformation. So we'll see.
Okay. I think Miguel's gonna be the saving grace.
Yeah.
I think that he's gonna step up for her. I think that
For Harley?
I think he's gonna do it for Christina. But I also think that something's going to go wrong, and this is going to lead us into season 2, that the bus is going to go bad. I think that they're not going to have enough there to actually arrest anyone, because as we see for the promo, Stahl is locking up Lohman. And from what it seems like in that little sequence, that I think that there's not going to be enough there for them to be...
No, you saw what they did, though. They were like, no, we're arresting him, to Lohman, so that could be... And they're dead, so they can't speak. They can't speak, so...
So, but then we see that Tess and everyone else seems to get away. So Lohman is left there with his gun in his hand, so to speak. Like, he's the only one trying to do what's right. But I think that the whole thing now is just gone to the wayside. They're not going to have anything, and as we see, Waz says, we don't have anything to take. All the money's gone. And I think that there's going to be some investigating that leads to a dead end, and that's what's going to take us into season 2. It's just, it seems too neatly packaged for them to find everything and convict everyone. And with how Stahl is with Harley, Gail's gonna have to come in there. She has been kind of a minor role, but something's gonna have to happen with her.
But so I wonder what's gonna happen going into the second season if they can't still be doing corruption, and the show is about these corrupt cops. So you would think that they would stop after this whole f up with this. But yeah.
Okay.
I think bigger fish.
Yeah. Okay. So number one, I think the junkie took the money. But I don't think he did it. I think he just took it for like safekeeping for a while. I think he can still be trusted. So I don't blame him. Number two, I think they're going to pin it on Loman. I think they're going to not, stick up for him and say that he didn't know. I think they're going to try to say that he knew exactly what was going on and that he was there because he was in on it, which I'll be so sad because Loman's trying to be a good guy, people. But yeah, that's what I think.
Good guys finish last. No, so I agree on all counts, but this is really the reason the season has had its ups and downs, but I like that it's keeping me guessing because there are some shows I watch, like my boyfriend always jokes that I can tell you who's going to be the killer in the opening sequence.
Right,
I know,
right.
With Law
First
Order,
episode.
With Law & Order SVU, I can tell right away. Most drama shows, they foreshadow so much or they give you too much in advance, and this one they've kind of not given enough. Some episodes given a little bit more, other episodes, but I still have no idea how it's going to end. So I really like that, and I think if they can keep that up, season 2 will be really great.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
So Jennifer Lopez said in a recent interview that she took a little bit too much out on her plate for this, but this isn't the only thing. She's trying to unload not just some work, but she's trying to unload her house. So let's get into a little news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So if you want to live like a star, Jennifer Lopez's house is hitting the market.
How much?
You guys got to check this beauty out. It is listed for $12.5 million. You can check it out on latimes.com under their real estate tab. And just check it out, people. Look at that plush lawn and that property.
Right there.
Hello. A place for the kids, some private time for you and the boo, and a beautiful crystal blue pool that just sits out and looks at the beautiful
We're all
night
looking at the
sky.
monitors with our mouth open.
And slop.
I really like that.
I know, we'd be all right living there, huh?
It looks
Want
like
to split the cost?
Yeah, all right.
Move in?
I got about $57. I'd be more than happy to throw it in.
Yes.
No, I wouldn't mind Airbnb at Jennifer Lopez. I'm available next weekend if you need a house sitter.
Airbnb.
I can walk a dog, and I'm a phenomenal babysitter. Now, it looks like in the house, it looks like there were 2 wings. I'm like, Mark Anthony stole one of those. He's like, you ain't selling my house. Mia Moore. I don't think so. So that's, I think if she's gonna do it, I mean, that is a hefty little chunk. Maybe she's looking for something a little bit more permanent in Las Vegas.
Good point.
Interesting.
Speaking of J-Lo's man, her current boy will be making an appearance in the TV reboot of Dirty Dancing. Casper Smart cast as Billy Kostecki. He'll be acting along with Abigail Breslin and Deborah Messing. So that's pretty cool.
Keeps a show.
Yes, I love
She
her,
keeps
honestly.
a show.
I think that's going to be a great one.
I'm actually really excited for this. I do like when they do reboots. I'm a big fan of when they do the live shows, and the cast it's getting much bigger than just Abigail Breslin and Deborah Messing, but those are 2 phenomenal actresses.
Yeah, big names.
You have Deborah Messing from Will and Grace, and you have Abigail Breslin from Little Miss Sunshine, as well as Scream Queens now, and she has like a wide variety of acting skills. So she does the comedy, she does more drama. So I'm excited to see her in this, a role I would have never expected for her to do. Kind of dancing. Yeah,
you didn't even know about it. She's so young. She doesn't
Always surprise us.
She's like Dirty Dancing.
But it seems fun. I think it's a 3-part, 1 hour each.
Oh, okay, cool.
Like a little mini series, and I think it can be good. It's one of those movies that's such a cult classic. If they can do it right, it'll have a big following.
For sure.
I feel like, especially with Grease, how they just did that reboot, and I feel like the musical turned out amazing. So I have high hopes for this. Definitely great. Also, for J-Lo fans, you can see her shake her assets as she'll be returning to the Planet Hollywood Resort Casino in May. She wrote on her Facebook a few days ago, so you guys should definitely mark your calendars for that as well.
All right, don't forget to mark your calendars for all the shows we mentioned tonight, the Tomorrow Show as well as The Catch on ABC. We'll be here next week to talk about the second to last episode for the season of Shades of Blue. So tune in next week, download on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and subscribe. We really would appreciate any feedback you have. Again, I'm your host, Brandon Marlo. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at BAMARLO.
And charming you are. Once again, I'm Samantha Benitz. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Samantha_Benitz.
Thank you, Samantha. So beautiful. And thank you too, Brandon.
Isn't this nice?
So handsome. Look at that smile.
Wow.
I'm Miara Jennings, and you can find me on Instagram, at Twitter, at Miara Jennings. Thanks,
So
guys.
glamorous, so glamorous.
Now to you, Erica J.
My
Green.
lovely
That
host.
lip color.
Hello.
It's Erica J. Green. I can't. All social media, Erica J.A.Y.E. Green.
Classy. What a name, folks. What a name.
Beautiful presentation.
What are y'all
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Laugh with us next week at the same time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.